Good evening and welcome to our transition evening. We did something similar to this in October that you might have seen, but again, this is all quite new for us. Welcome. Hopefully things will be fine and we will get through this without any technical hitches. We've got the technical team here, so we shall just crack on with some of the questions. Can I introduce first of all Phil Southwell, who is Deputy Head Teacher.
Good evening, nice to meet you all.
And we have Steve Truan, Assistant Head Teacher, who is in charge of transition.
Good evening.
Again, forgive us for the panning, we did this in October, and because obviously we're having to distance, there will be a little bit of a delay between the panning across from person to person. But obviously my name is Paula Lawson, I'm the head teacher at the Radcliffe School, and with us today we have Jason Faulkner, who's our business manager, who's going to be asking the questions. So he's manning the chat box to see if any of the questions come in. I know that we've asked already for parents to be emailing through any questions to the panel, and we have got a few of those questions already pre-prepared. But we are also looking at some of those questions as they come through. So I'm going to start. Obviously, one of the questions I think everybody has at the moment, and it's not just parents, it's students, it's staff, is everything about COVID. So we're going to get that out of the way first of all. Obviously, with the announcement on Monday about COVID and the changes that are going to be going ahead, and I think Gavin Williamson was announcing yesterday some of the changes relevant to the schools. We are going to be moving and changing back to a lot of the things that we already had established in the school. So things like vertical tutor groups. Again, something that's very important to our school ethos, and it's really important that we enable our students to develop those social skills and can talk to and relate to other students in other year groups. So we will be going back to vertical tutoring. We will be going back to all of the students coming on site at 8:20, ready for an 8:25 start each morning. So we're not going to have a staggered start. But we are going to make some changes in terms of the gates that the students will be coming into, and we'll be publishing those changes as well. But we will be very happy to go back to break time and lunch time as well. I know that's some of the questions that we've had from students, especially they'll be very interested around those details. But the curriculum that we'll be offering will be a full curriculum, as we have done all through the COVID time as well. So at this point, I'm going to ask Mr. Faulkner to give some questions.
Yeah, so we've had a few questions in. As Mrs. Lawson said, if you're on Teams, there's the chat button at the top. Get involved on there. We'll see them coming through. We'll obviously group them up, and they're maybe covered by some of the questions we've had in. So the first one, perhaps sticking with you, Mrs. Lawson, it's about tutor groups and when they'll find out, in this particular instance, which tutor group their son is in.
So everybody today should have received an email talking about which house they're in. So now I'm hoping that all of the students will know which house they're in. Obviously, tutor groups is next. When the students arrive on the 6th of September, we will just have year 7s in, and we will ask the year 7s to go to the hall where they'll gather, and then at that point, Mr. Truan will go through the list of students and they will know which tutor group they'll actually have. Sorry, there was a slight issue with the camera there, that's why I've paused a little bit. So Mr. Truan will go through all the tutor group lists, and they will meet their form tutor in the hall, who will take them to the tutor base. Please do not worry, when the students come on site, there will be lots of staff who will be meeting and greeting the year 7s and direct them to the right place. So no student will get lost, and I know that can be a little bit of a worry for some of the students as they arrive on the first day.
Okay, thank you. So we've had a few questions in about communication. I'll pass it over to Mr. Truan, really about how obviously the parents will receive communication from the school. Obviously things have changed quite a lot over the last year with COVID, and perhaps paper and things at home and giving students. Perhaps if you could give a flavour about how communication can work.
I will do my best. It's a great question. There's many ways to communicate, isn't there? And obviously the first and most simplest is via email and on the phone, and that's why completing the admin packs is absolutely essential. So please do make sure that you send those back. they're vitally important to us in regards to having the correct contact details. And that's on a day-to-day basis in regards to if we need to contact you in that way. The second way in regards to getting out whole school messages is via our school Facebook page and our school website. And the school Facebook page, and I believe there's nearly 3,000 people that follow the school Facebook page now, has been particularly effective in regards to getting quick messages out there. We've used it one too many times in regards to getting out messages about the obvious, about COVID, but in regards to celebrating success as well, it's been an incredibly useful and effective communication tool. And the third kind of communication process I want to talk about this evening is a personalised one, and it's our parent portal, which is called Insight. And that's where you, through bringing in your admin packs and providing us with the contact details, are able to access live data on your children. And that includes their attendance, it includes their behaviour, but more importantly, it also includes their learning and how they're getting on in each subject across the entire curriculum. Hopefully that gives you a flavour in regards to how we're moving forward with communication.
Yeah, lovely, thank you. Mr. Lawson mentioned earlier about subjects in the curriculum. We've had a question in about subjects that Year 7 will study. So I'll pass over to Mr. Southwell this time. Perhaps can talk us through what subjects Year 7 will be expected to see when they come in.
Absolutely. So students, as they arrive with us, will do a broad range of subject areas, and they'll continue that through Year 7, Year 8 and Year 9. So I'll quickly run through the list of subjects that students will study. So obviously the English, the maths and the science are compulsory parts of the curriculum. IT, PE, humanities, so that's RE, history and geography, modern foreign languages, and for us that's French and German, music, art, drama, and we also study modern Britain, values and ethics, as well as our comprehensive tutor programme. So you can see from that list it's a really broad range of experiences that our students undertake, and once they reach the end of Year 9 they start to consider a more personalised pathway through the curriculum, where they can choose some specific options that run through Key Stage 4 and Key Stage 5.
Lovely, thank you. Obviously a question that we received actually in the last session we did, and we've had another question coming on the email earlier today, was about support students would get. Whether Mr. Lawson wants to talk through perhaps about support, and in particular SEN was raised, I know previously, and it's a topic parents are interested in.
Obviously, we talk to the primary schools about the information regarding each of the individual students. We have a lot of information sent to us. The primary schools have spent a long time filling in lots of forms to give us information about each individual student in terms of not just about the academic progress that the students are making, but also personal progress as well, and where things might need a little bit of support perhaps, or an additional piece of work around that child, or needs to get involved in some activities. So there's obviously those discussions going on. So in terms of preparation for the students arriving in September, there's a huge amount of background work. When the students arrive in September, we not only talk about the academic progress, but there's the tutor who will be the first point of contact for all students. And we'll obviously work very closely. We have a very small tutor group, so there's a huge amount of support that can go into the personal development for each of the children within that tutor session. From an academic point of view in lessons, we have obviously the curriculum teams and the curriculum team leaders will look after the progress of each of the individual students within the curriculum area. For students who need additional support from an SEN point of view, they may have a provision map. They will all have a provision map which outlines the progress they will need to make and how that can be achieved. And that's the most important thing. It's what teaching and learning strategies will be best suited for that child. And there's a huge team behind each child, behind each lesson, that supports the progress from an academic point of view, obviously, as well as a personal development point of view. So we have our SEN team, the house team, we have all of the curriculum team leaders that will look at the progress of students and look at the additional support. And if there's anything specific or specialist that's needed, then that can be discussed as well alongside the parents. But also we review the provision maps to see where progress is being made. So we can either use what the strategies that are being successful are in the lessons, and use them elsewhere, maybe, and share that practice across the different subject areas. Or we can look at something more specialist that child might need and look towards the SEN team to see if we can do anything about maybe providing some specialist sessions or linking to some external agencies. I know that we've had a lot of parents who are particularly concerned at the moment, obviously in anticipation of them arriving before September, but can I just reassure parents that we will, yes, we have information coming in around the students at the moment, and obviously we do have some students coming to the summer school in the summer. All of that information will be used and gathered at the moment, but really when the student arrives in September, will be the time to have those questions answered, because we will first of all know the student a little bit better. We will see them in the classroom, see what is actually going on, and we'll look at the strengths that they have and things that they need to be working on as well. We will have a tutor evening fairly early on in the summer, in the autumn term. So I think it's around end of September, beginning of October. So it gives the students enough time to settle in, and then the parents can talk to the form tutor about if they settled in okay, but more importantly about the progress that they're making and if there's any worries or concerns, and that discussion can be had. So really the best time to ask some of those key questions will be around September time. There's the form tutor you can talk to, you've got the house teams you can talk to as well, and then they will liaise with the SEN team to discuss what might be the next steps for each individual child if that's the case.
Okay, thank you. We've had a message in from Harry. I'm not sure if it's Harry Kane, just ahead of the game, and I didn't realise they were sending some students to school, but they've asked about, Year 7 going to have a day on their own at the start of the term. I'll hand that one over to you, Mr. Truhan. So this one's for you, Harry.
That's a great question. Again, simple answer is yes. You will have a day on your own. Okay, you will be the sole students within the school on the first day. Giving you a little flavour of what that will be like, you will all be come to the same gate. You will be directed into a hall where I will do my best to read a register and pronounce all of your names correctly. And following that, you'll be divided up into your tutors, where your tutors will take you and familiarise you with the buildings, the routines, the expectations that are going on. It also gives us the opportunity to start our biometric cashless catering system, where we take a photograph of you on your first day. That's a photograph that will come back in year 11, which much to the amusement of us as members of staff. And in regards to the cashless catering, parents, you can via an app, via WisePay, put money onto your child's account, and then they can purchase from our canteen using their thumbprint. It's all very safe. There will be more details in regards to that. The great thing about it, as far as mums and dads are concerned, is you can monitor what your children are eating as well. Okay, but yes, Harry, you will have a wonderful first day just in year 7.
Just to save me panning, we've had a question about summer school. Obviously, there's big summer school activities happening across the country, and I know we've got a very popular summer school that's happening in August. Someone's just saying, how will they know if they have a place this year? They've obviously applied. Whether you could just answer that one, just save me panning around.
Fingers crossed, and dependent upon the postal service, we've sent out a letter this week. So please give it a couple of days in regards to the end, at least till the end of the week, to find out whether you have secured a place in our oversubscribed summer school. It's great news in regards to that. It's something we're really looking forward to in regards to seeing all of you come up and again familiarise yourself about the school, its routines and its expectations.
Lovely, thank you. Again, just an organisational thing, I'll take it over to Mr. Southwell, is what time do Year 7 start and what gate do they come through? Mr. Lawson has touched on that, but it's a quiz, if you've got the right answer.
Hopefully I'm going to get it right in that case. So all students start at 8:20 in September, so that includes the Year 7 students. The gates will open at 8:20, so students can arrive at about 8:15 in preparation for that, but certainly no earlier because the gates would not be open and we don't want students loitering around without any supervision. So 8:15 for 8:20, and that allows students to get to their lessons at tutor time for 8:25. And the gate that students in Year 7 will use is the Addington Avenue gate, and that's the one that leads directly down to the Walton swimming pool.
Lovely, thank you. Again, just another couple of practical ones. So, Mr. Lawson, back to you for this one, I think. So it's about school uniform, obviously an important part of the Radcliffe School. So they're just asking about when they should order, and just some details. I know there's information gone out previously about where they can order them from, just to clarify that.
Yep, in terms of ordering, the best time to order is actually sooner rather than later. I would recommend that you have ordered the uniform, particularly the blazer, probably I would have said the beginning of August. We always have cases where parents have left it to the last week or the last couple of weeks of the summer holidays, and then the popular sizes aren't in stock at that point. And I will say that the students find it very difficult to arrive in school when we've got the majority of students wearing blazers, and they do find it very difficult to be sat there without their blazer on. So please make sure that you do put the order in soon, so you do have that full uniform on the first day. It does make a real difference to the students' confidence when they arrive here. In terms of where to order that, so Maisie's locally in Wolverton is somewhere where you can buy the tie and the blazer. Because we have black trousers, the white shirt, they can be purchased at most places fairly cheaply. We do have a school skirt. That has been the one thing that's changed over the last couple of years. And again, that can be ordered through Maisie's. Alternatively, you can use SWI for all of those pieces. But in addition to the PE kit as well, you'll need to order from the website, and the details are on the website there. They're also in the Next Steps brochure that has been sent to everybody as well, and you can see where that is. But again, I would absolutely emphasise the fact that please order that as soon as you can.
Yeah, and that's the information we've had from our supplier, SWI, also now been taken over by Banner, so you'll probably find that's the name on the website. But yeah, certainly they've got some concerns if they believe it too late, I've heard, because obviously Brexit and just COVID has created some delays or possible delays. Just following on that theme, so again, it's a bit of a quiz here. So what additional equipment should our Year 7 students have?
We've had a lot of questions from the students about that over the last 3 days. And can I just say at this point, and I know Mr. Truman probably will touch on this as well, the students that we've had in with us have been amazing. And actually, sound about the importance
drink bottle. And as I say, it's very, very important. I do add though that you are able to access water, you are able to drink water, but only under very strict supervision. We have specialist classrooms here. It's quite different to primary. So, for example, there are DT labs, there are science labs, there are computer suites, and actually drinking water can be quite hazardous within those. So, yes, you're able to drink, but only water and only in a supervised fashion.
No, lovely. We just lost sound there for a minute, so apologies, there's a little bit of a gap, but hopefully the closed question was about drinking in lessons, and hopefully you picked that up from Mr. Truan's comments. Right, okay, just following on from that, you mentioned admin packs earlier. We've got a parent who's panicking a little bit. They haven't sent their admin pack in yet. When is the deadline for that?
We are panicking too. Can you please get those admin packs as soon as possible? Okay, they're absolutely essential to the infrastructure of the school in regards to how we contact you, but also what we know about your children in regards to dietary needs, medical needs, and all those different factors. We're saying that actually we need those by next Wednesday at the absolute latest. So you've still got some time, but we do actually need those by next Wednesday. It's vitally, vitally important.
No, lovely. And I imagine the team will start to chase around if we haven't had them.
Yeah.
Okay, just following on now, we've had a question come in about that hot topic of mobile phones. So I'll pass one over to Mrs. Lawson just to really just explain or clarify the rules around mobile phones.
One of my favourite subjects. So mobile phones, a couple of years ago, it was a long time ago now, we took the decision to not have mobile phones being used during the school day at all, particularly social times. The rules used to be that you could bring a phone on site, but you could only use it break and lunchtime. But the issue that we had was basically students were just buried in a mobile phone, they were listening to music, and they weren't socialising. They were just buried in their phone and weren't really paying attention to anything around them. And it became an issue. So what we had done a couple of years ago now is to basically say, yes, you can bring a mobile phone on site, but it should be turned off in your bag, and it shouldn't be out at all during the day. The only exception to that is when a mobile phone can be used for learning, and yes, they do have a use for learning. Obviously I'm a DT teacher as well, and just using the camera to take photographs of models and things like that is really really helpful. So the member of staff who's in charge of the lesson will tell the students when it is appropriate to use a mobile phone, but other than that, a mobile phone shouldn't be used or out at any time during the school day.
Okay, thank you. Just back to Mr. Truan, I think Mr. Salver's on a bit of a lane over here. We'll come back to him, I'm sure, in a moment. Is to talk about extracurricular from September. Obviously, things have been a little bit reduced down over time. So really, whether you want to give a flavour for that, or
absolutely
questions about that, sports and other activities.
It's been incredibly frustrating. It's been absolutely incredibly frustrating for us as a school that's passionate not only about the academic side of students' education, because we really want all of our students to get the best grades they possibly can, and that will open up pathways and signpost them into anything they want to do in the future, but also for them to be able to stand out in the crowd. Many students will have exactly the same grades, but what makes a Radcliffe student different than any other student is the opportunities that we've been able to offer them throughout their time here. So from day one, we're able to relaunch our Get Involved programme. And that is a vast array of opportunities that includes extracurricular, so anything that happens outside of the classroom walls, but it also includes external agencies that we liaise with, such as Duke of Edinburgh, arts leaders, sports leaders, where children can get professional qualifications. We also hold a vast array of internal opportunities in regards to taking on responsibility. For example, student council, house managers, A to B ambassadors. All of these opportunities will reopen and enable children to apply from them. If I'm being honest, the list is endless.
I guess just tying into your question about communication, just perhaps to just talk about how people know about this.
Absolutely. So once again, we'll use the school website, we will use school Facebook pages, we will contact people through Insight, and they'll be advertised regularly via tutor boards. There's a vast array again of opportunities for you to find out about them.
Thank you. As I say, Mr. Southwell, go sleep over there because I haven't gone to him for a while. So it's a question we had last time, actually. It's about how much homework will we get? Now I'm not sure if this is coming from the crowd of I'd like lots and lots, or whether it's coming from the other crowd who perhaps aren't quite so keen. I'm not sure it's a parent or a student, so perhaps if you'd like to give a bit of a flavour of homework.
Absolutely. First of all, I haven't really been asleep. I have really been homework, so there are, like Mr. Falkland, there are two camps when it comes to homework. Those that really think it should be piled on really hard, and those that really don't sort of adhere to what homework can offer. So as a school, we have a philosophy that we only really use it when it enriches the curriculum or reinforces the learning that students have been doing. So we don't overload students with masses and masses of homework, but we do still have homework across all of the year groups in school. It comes in a variety of forms, so it could be an online product such as a website or an app. It could be a physical copy of something that students take home. It could be a research task or something as well that students do. But certainly I wouldn't expect to have homework every single day, and when you have those days where you do receive homework, certainly not much more than an hour at a time, because you get to a point where you're saturated and you can't take any more information in, and then it becomes a meaningless task.
Okay, lovely, thank you. Just following on, I suppose, from that and from the curriculum is really just that general question. I've had a couple of questions really about how parents will know how their child's doing, how well they're progressing. And talking, Mr. True mentioned earlier about tutor evenings, is about, will there be these opportunities, parents in these tutor evenings, whether you could just touch on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have two opportunities for our students in every year group, and Mrs. Lawson mentioned the first one, and that was the tutor evening, which does happen at the end of September. So that is that opportunity to see how your sons and daughters have started, meet the tutor, and see how the first month's been in school. As we progress through the year, in fact in January, you'll have the opportunity to meet all of the subject staff for your sons and daughters. And the way we're going to operate this year is that we have a bit of a mixed economy. We have some face-to-face meetings available. We have some conversations that might take place over the telephone. And we also have some opportunities like this evening where it might be a Teams-based meeting, and you will get to see a variety of staff and find out lots of information about your sons and daughters. In terms of what we send home as other information, we don't do reports in the traditional style as such. What we actually do is something that we feel is a bit more valuable and a bit more directional in terms of this is what the students can and can't do, and this is how we can support them at home. And that's something called the PLCs, and that stands for Personalised Learning Checklists. And you'll get this in every single subject area, and it indicates the strengths and the areas to develop for each student, and you'll get that once per term towards the end of each term, so we can really support students as best we can, and at home you can also have that information and support as well.
Lovely, and that just proves Mrs. Southwell was away next. It was indeed Mrs. Lawson who mentioned the tutoring. I've just got one final question coming in, and it's from Gareth, and he's wanted to know what your prediction is for the game tonight. Now, I'm not entirely sure whether he's a parent or not.
Is there a game tonight?
I believe there is. So yeah, whether you'd like to give us a prediction each.
Absolutely.
Each.
I'll go first in that case. Well, I'm going with a 2-0 England win. Come on, England.
2-0 England. Although if Harry Kane's here watching ours, I'm not sure he's concentrating on the game. Mrs. Lawson.
I'm thinking 1-0 England.
Oh, staying with England. And finally, Mr. Truen, obviously originating from Denmark.
Yeah, I'm going 1-1 and an extra time winner from Harry Kane.
Oh, excellent.
So 2-1 England.
Okay, well, that's all the questions you had in, so thank you for all the questions that have come in. So I'm not sure whether that was the real Gareth Southgate, we'll pretend it is for now. Yeah, so thank you. I don't know whether, Mr. Lawson, you just want to wrap it up?
I just want to say thank you very much for joining us this evening. We are all looking forward to meeting everybody. I know that obviously we've had a little bit of a mixed transition this time, with some schools being able to come on site, other schools not being able to come on site for various different reasons. But regardless of whether you've been in school or outside of school through the transition process, we will be supporting the students throughout all of their time with us during school. The best advice I can give to parents is really communicate with us. We are not going to get everything right, nothing is perfect, and we are not going to pretend that is the case. But as long as you work with us, we will always guarantee that we will try our best by every single student. And if something doesn't work, then we will try something else. So please make sure that you contact the house teams, make sure that you have their details, especially because they will be the first point of contact for you, as well as the form tutor. And we will obviously endeavour to make sure that we can work together with you. So please have a lovely summer. Hopefully we'll have some better weather, as I'm looking at the rain beating against the window at the moment. Hopefully the forecast will be better. I'm hoping, and we are so looking forward to getting back to some semblance of normality, and hopefully we could get past all the restrictions, and we can make sure that we have the best school to enable your child to do their very best over the next 5 to 7 years. So thank you very much and have a lovely summer. Thank you.
We've had a couple of other questions come in. What we'll do, if we could just grab those. Sorry, kind of thought we'd finish there.
Yep.
We've gone into extra time, I think.
Oh, extra time.
Your prediction.
Just what about the bus drop-offs? Obviously, with using the Anderton Avenue entrance, I don't know whether Mr. Lawson can comment on the bus drop-offs.
So obviously on the first day, we will be by the gates, by all the gates on the first day, because we understand that students won't be used to coming on site. They won't know which gate really. Yes, we can say which gate it's going to be at this point, but there will be, obviously there is about 8 weeks between now and when all the students arrive. So we will have people on duty at that point anyway for each of the gates. We'll guide the year 7s from the bus, because that usually stops at Stratford Road. And we'll guide them to where they need to go to on that first day. But obviously after that, we always have staff on gate duty every single morning. So even if a student forgets which gates they're going to, where they're going to be, we will obviously guide them and make sure that they get to the right place at the right time.
Okay, just one on educational trips. I don't know, Mr. Chair, do you want to take this one? Just about when Year 7 will have the opportunity for educational trips and visits.
Well, we're very excited about being able to open up our extracurricular. We're very excited about being able to offer all those additional opportunities. And what we're also passionate about at the Radcliffe School is how educational trips can enrich our curriculum. So what we will do is we will speak to our CTLs, which is heads of department for each subject, and we will look at how those educational trips can enrich them. Once we're able to do that, we'll be able to feed back some more specific dates, if I'm honest with you.
Lovely. I've just got one to Mr. Southwell here. I think, sorry, we had a little bit of a flurry of questions here because I didn't scroll the screen. This is just about setting, really, because obviously with no SATs this year, you know, what's our approach going to be? Because obviously we've probably used SATs in the past to start some setting off.
Absolutely. So we will do our own kind of testing in school, and obviously the staff get to know the students really well. But please rest assured, you won't come straight into Radcliffe and be tested from day one. I know that some other schools around Milton Keynes take that approach. We want you to settle in and to really enjoy your learning before we start to worry about setting. And that's not to say we don't care about the progress of the students. At the most opportune moment and the most appropriate moment, we will make that decision to conduct some testing, and from that point onwards, we set in the subjects that we set in, and we don't set in all subjects because we do feel in some areas that mixed ability does drive students forward in a more progressive way.
Oh, lovely, thank you. If there's any more questions come in, we'll obviously try and pick them up and send some responses out like we did before. Obviously, this is going to be on YouTube afterwards, so if anyone's missed it, pass this on. The question has come in about the catering, and do the students need to bring money on the first day? Obviously, because they won't have the catering cards that Mr. Truant talked about. My advice is, yes, you need to. We can sort that all out on the first day. It'll be a little bit messy while we get the card set up. So hopefully we've got that. And we just had one question in, a couple of questions actually, about them had their house email come through about which house they're in. So I'd recommend that you contact Mrs. Day,
Yes.
Because if it hasn't come through by now, it maybe we've got a slightly incorrect email address for you. So if you contact Mrs. Day, then she should be able to tell you.
That's a good point, actually. We do a huge amount of communication. Obviously, I think Ms. Truan and Mr. Southwell have both spoken today about communication and how that works. Lots of the communication that we do is via email, and our system that we use, which is In Touch as well as Insight for the personnel checklist, actually uses the email address from our SIMS management system, information management system. So can you please make sure, that is really important, that you do keep us up to date with your current email. We're quite aware that emails can change depending on the provider that you might be using. So if you do have any changes, whether it's a telephone number, particularly mobile numbers, or email addresses, you please contact our reception so we can make sure that our records are up to date, because we do send out quite a number of communications via that method, particularly email.
Lovely, thank you. So we're not going to go into penalties. I think I've picked up most of the questions that come in. If we have missed any, we will let them in. So I think we will leave it there. So thank you, panel.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Leave everyone to go and watch the real match.
Yes, good luck, England.
Absolutely.